You've carried the weight of proving your worth for too long, trying to be better, smarter, quieter, more. It's exhausting to keep proving yourself when you were already enough from the beginning. This audiobook is your reminder and your return to the truth you forgot. I am enough. Introduction. There is a sound most people never notice. The silent doubt beneath their smiles. The ever-present whisper, I am not enough. It's subtle. It doesn't always scream. Sometimes it hides in perfectionism. Sometimes in overgiving. Sometimes in the fear of being seen. And sometimes in the fear of being forgotten. But it's there. It's in the way you shrink in certain rooms. It's in the way you replay that one comment, failure, and moment of rejection. It's in the way you apologize for existing too loudly. This book is not a manual to fix you because you're not broken. It's not a 10-step program to improve because you're not a project. This is a return to a truth so original and sacred that the world forgot, buried, and sold you something else instead. You are enough. Not because you finally achieved something. Not because you healed everything. Not because you checked all the boxes. But because you are. Enoughness is not a status. It's not something you graduate into. It's not waiting for your next breakthrough. It's the divine signature stamped on your soul when you took your first breath. This audiobook unravels the secrets of who you are, not who you are, but who you were taught to be. It will walk you back through the moments the lie was planted. It will sit with the wound, not to wallow, but to witness. And it will reintroduce you to the part of yourself that was never touched by shame, altered by rejection, or dimmed by judgment. That part of you is still here, still waiting, still whole. You are not your failures. You are not your trauma. You are not the voice in your head that says you're too much or not enough. You are the light beneath the noise, the being behind the doing, the breath behind the name. And you don't need to perform to earn your place in the universe. You already are the place. As we begin this journey together, chapter by chapter, layer by layer, you will not be adding to yourself. You will subtract the lies, shame, masks, and noise. What remains is you, the real you, and the real you is, and always has been, enough. Chapter 1. The Lie of Not Enough. Where the wound began. You didn't come into this world feeling unworthy. You didn't arrive doubting your right to be here, your right to take up space, your right to be loved for no reason other than because you are. That doubt came later, handed to you in pieces, planted like seeds by voices that didn't know better, repeated so many times that the echo became your internal soundtrack. The belief that you are not enough is not your truth. It is your conditioning. And like all conditioning, it didn't start with logic. It began with survival. Somewhere early in your story, you realized that love often came with terms. Approval was something to earn. Acceptance, something to chase. Maybe it was a parent's silence, a teacher's comparison, a peer's rejection. Perhaps it was a faith tradition that confused humility with humiliation. Or a culture that taught you your worth depended on your performance, appearance, or productivity. Wherever it came from, the wound wasn't just emotional, it was existential. A shift happened, a fracture in the way you saw yourself. You stopped being, and you started proving. What followed was the building of a self around the lie. A version of you designed not to be whole, but to be approved of. You became adaptable, achieving, pleasing, silently suffering. But behind every version of yourself that succeeded, there was still a soft voice wondering, would they love me if I stopped trying? Would I still belong if I failed? Would I be safe if I were just me? This is the great wound. The lie of not enough doesn't just affect your self-esteem, it distorts your identity. It convinces you that your value must be earned and therefore can also be lost, that your worth is on trial. You must work, hustle, fix, heal, improve, or ascend to deserve peace, love, success, or rest. But here's the truth you were never told clearly enough. You are not here to earn your existence. You are here to remember it. Let's go deeper. The psychology of the wound. In developmental psychology, it's understood that our early sense of self is shaped not just by words, but by emotional patterns. When a child's emotional needs are inconsistently met, or love feels conditional, they form an internal belief: there must be something wrong with me. This belief becomes an unconscious lens through which the world is interpreted. You get good grades not because you love learning, but to feel worthy. You seek perfection not because you enjoy excellence, but because you fear rejection. You stay quiet in relationships not because you're peaceful, but because you've equated honesty with abandonment. The wound gets sophisticated with age. You don't walk around announcing, "I feel unworthy," but the way you shrink, silence, strive, or sabotage reveals it. Joseph Murphy, in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, writes, "As within, so without. When your subconscious mind accepts an idea, it begins to execute it. So when your subconscious accepts the idea that you're not enough, your external life begins to reflect it. You attract partners who echo your self-doubt. You miss opportunities that feel too good. You resist abundance because receiving makes you feel exposed. But the problem isn't in your worth. It's in your programming." The spiritual trap of self-improvement. Here's where it gets tricky. Even in spiritual and self-help circles, the language of transformation can reinforce the lie. You hear things like, "Become your best self," "Unlock your highest potential," "Fix your limiting beliefs." These aren't necessarily bad, but the undertone often implies, "You're not enough yet, but maybe one day, with enough effort, you will be." But what if the goal of spiritual work is not self-improvement, but self-remembrance? What if the highest version of you isn't a future version, but the most true version? What if healing isn't becoming someone new, but returning to someone ancient, original, and whole? The body remembers too. Unworthiness doesn't just live in your mind. It lives in your nervous system. Every time you were shamed, ignored, or made to feel small, your body registered it. Over time, it learned to tense, shrink, people please, or go numb. The body doesn't lie. You may say you're confident, but your shoulders tell the truth. You may declare abundance, but your breath says you're still bracing. To reclaim your enoughness, you must learn to live in a body that feels safe to be you. That's the deep work ahead, and it begins now. The lie is loud, but the truth is louder. You were not born unworthy. You were taught to forget your worth. The rest of this audiobook will be your remembering. Chapter 2 will walk you into the distorted mirror that keeps you from seeing your own light and show you how to recognize the real you beneath the reflections. But before we move on, take this truth with you. You were enough before the world had a name for you. And you will still be enough long after it forgets. Let's keep going. You're returning now. Chapter 2. The mirror is warped. Why you can't see your own light. Have you ever looked at your reflection and felt like something was missing? Not your appearance, but your essence. It was as if you were looking at a version of yourself filtered through fogged glass. Not quite right, not quite whole, not quite you. This happens when we learn to see ourselves through a mirror that was never clean to begin with. The mirror, culture, media, broken relationships, and generational pain were cracked long before you arrived. And yet, from the earliest age, you were taught to believe it. You mistook reflection for reality. You began defining your identity through what others showed you, not what you knew deep within. You forgot your light, not because it disappeared, but because it was distorted. Your first mirror wasn't a mirror at all. The first mirror we ever gaze into is the face of our caretakers. A parent's approval or absence and a teacher's praise or disappointment are not just events. They are the lenses we adopt to make sense of ourselves. If they celebrated you, you began to believe you were worthy. If they criticized you, you wondered what was wrong. If they ignored you, you became invisible to yourself. But what they reflected back wasn't necessarily the truth. It was their own lens, clouded by their own fears, wounds, and unmet needs. You never saw yourself, only their perception of you. And perception is not reality. The distortion of culture and comparison. Fast forward to the present. You scroll. You consume. You compare. Social media has turned the mirror into a magnifying glass that highlights flaws, filters beauty, and reinforces the lie that you're not quite enough yet. You see their highlight reel and compare it to your behind the scenes. You see their success and forget that worth isn't measured in followers or filters. The mirror has grown more crowded, but it hasn't grown more accurate. In The Power of Awareness, Neville Goddard reminds us, change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live. But how can you change your conception of yourself when you've never clearly seen yourself to begin with? The soul's original memory. There is a part of you that remembers before the mirrors, before the reflection, before the distortion. You felt it in moments of stillness, wonder, or creativity. In those fleeting seconds when you felt fully alive without trying. That was you, undistorted, unmirrored, whole. This memory isn't imagination. It's encoded into your soul. It's the true you. The one that never needed to be edited, filtered, or improved. Only remembered. And here's the sacred truth. You don't have to see the light to be the light. You have to stop believing the lies that hid it. The false self versus the real you. When the mirror is warped, you begin to form a false self, a version of you designed to be accepted, not to be authentic. This false self becomes skilled at success, performance, even spirituality. But no matter how perfect it looks, the false self is always afraid. Afraid of being found out. Afraid of being abandoned. Afraid of what happens if the mask is removed. This inner conflict between who you are and who you pretend to be is exhausting. It keeps you chasing worth in circles. It keeps you away from stillness, because stillness threatens the illusion. The false self is not bad. It was a survival strategy. But it is not the end of your story. Your return to I am enough begins when you realize the false self may look like you, but it's not you. Seeing yourself through the divine eye. In the mystical tradition of Meister Eckhart, we find the powerful insight. The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me. This is not poetry. It's a spiritual technology. It means the more clearly you see your divinity, the more you realize that God, or Source, or the universe, never saw you as broken in the first place. The mirror may be warped, but the divine gaze is not. To reclaim your worth, you don't need to polish the reflection. You need to shift your gaze away from performance, away from comparison, away from inherited stories. You must learn to see yourself through the lens of truth, not trauma. That lens is within you. It's still there, quiet, waiting. The neuroscience of self-perception. Modern neuroscience tells us that the brain reinforces what it believes. This is called confirmation bias. Once you believe you're not enough, your brain will subconsciously search for evidence to prove it. You'll notice the one criticism over 100 compliments. You'll replay the moment you failed, but forget all the ways you showed up. This isn't because your life is lacking. It's because your lens is. But the opposite is also true. When you begin to believe you are enough, the brain rewires to confirm it. New neural pathways are formed. New self-perceptions begin to take root. You start to interpret reality through worthiness, and reality mirrors it back. This is not fantasy. This is neuroplasticity. You are not just healing your heart, but retraining your mind to recognize the truth. Let the mirror shatter. You don't need a better reflection. You need freedom from the reflection altogether. Let the mirror shatter. Let the lies fall. Let the illusion crack. What remains is your light, untouched, unfiltered, and enough. Chapter 3 will explore how self-worth is not earned, but remembered, and why you are not a problem to fix, but a truth to embrace. But before we move forward, ask yourself, what would change if I stopped waiting for proof I'm enough and started living like I already am? Because you are. Even if you can't see it yet, the mirror never held the truth. Your soul did. Let's keep going. Chapter 3. You are not a problem to fix. Somewhere along the way, you were taught that growth meant correction, that healing meant elimination, that transformation meant turning yourself into someone else. But what if true healing isn't about fixing you, because you were never broken? This chapter is a spiritual interruption. It is here to tell you that the version of you reading this right now, flawed, confused, learning, evolving, is not a mistake to be solved. You are not a malfunction. You are not off path. You are not a glitch in the system. You are a soul in process, and the process itself is sacred. The myth of self-fixing. The self-help industry, for all its value, often carries a hidden undertone that you must do more, know more, fix more to be worthy finally. You're not manifesting right. Your thoughts are too negative. Your energy isn't high enough. You're not in alignment yet. These messages may be well-intentioned, but they often reinforce the deepest lie of all. You're still not enough, but maybe one day you will be. The problem with this lie is that it makes your wholeness a moving target. You chase it like a mirage, always just out of reach. And the more you chase, the more exhausted you feel. Because deep down, your soul knows wholeness is not a destination. It is your origin. You came from wholeness. You are returning to wholeness. And everything in between is not a deviation, but a remembering. The wound is not the whole. When pain happens, trauma, heartbreak, rejection, it becomes tempting to over-identify with the wound, to build an identity around it, to see yourself as damaged or not there yet. But a cut on your hand does not mean your body is broken. A cloud in the sky does not mean the sun is gone. A chapter of pain does not rewrite the whole book. You are not your pain. You are the one carrying the pain, and that means you are bigger than it. New Thought. Pioneer Emmett Fox once wrote, "You must not under any pretense allow your mind to dwell on any thought that is not positive, constructive, optimistic, kind." But that doesn't mean rejecting your pain. It means reframing it. The goal is not to ignore your wounds, but to stop identifying with them as your essence. You are not your trauma. You are the space that can hold it and still choose love. Healing isn't linear, and it was never meant to be. Part of the frustration in self-growth is the illusion that progress is supposed to be a straight line. If you're doing things right, you'll only move upward, more healed, peaceful, and evolved. But true healing is cyclical. You revisit lessons. You shed deeper layers. You meet old pain in new forms. This doesn't mean you're regressing. It means you're spiraling upward, revisiting the same points, but from a higher level of awareness each time. What looked like failure yesterday becomes fuel today. What triggered the collapse before now invites compassion. You're not stuck. You're circling the truth from deeper and deeper angles. Don't judge your spiral. Honor it. It means you're still in the dance. You don't need to deserve peace. Let that sink in. Peace is not something you earn. It is something you return to. Your worth is not on a scoreboard. Your right to joy is not tied to your productivity. Your access to love is not locked behind a gate of finally getting it all together. You don't need to become high vibe to be loved by the universe. You don't need to meditate for 21 days straight to be supported. You don't need to always think positively to receive abundance. You just need to remember, you are not a problem. You are a presence, and your presence is enough. Quantum wholeness, you are already complete. In quantum physics, there's a concept known as non-locality. It suggests that particles can be connected in such a way that the state of one instantly influences the state of another, no matter how far apart they are. In other words, the illusion of separation is just that, an illusion. Now consider this spiritually. What if the version of you that is whole, radiant, fearless, and fully alive already exists? Not as a future destination, but as a present frequency. What if you're not building her, but tuning into her? And the more you stop treating yourself as broken, the clearer her signal becomes. She's not waiting on your perfection. She's waiting on your permission. You can't meet her through judgment. You meet her through grace. The power of radical compassion. So, what do you do with your messy parts, your shadow, the patterns that haven't yet healed? You stop waging war on them. You stop labeling them as blocks. You learn to love them, not because they're perfect, but because they're you. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Infinite Spirit, reveal to me the way, and let me clear the perfect plan." But the perfect plan is not one without mess. It's one where the mess becomes the message. Compassion is not weakness. It is a transformation in motion. It says, even this part of me is worthy of light. It allows your shame to soften. It gives your inner critic a place to rest. It lets you be enough, right here, without another milestone. Let this be your permission slip. You don't need more fixing. You need more remembering. You need more rest. You need more being. You don't need another 10-step system. You don't need to vibrate higher before life can love you. You are enough in process. You are enough in the pause. You are enough as is. The journey ahead. In Chapter 1, we uncovered the lie of not enough. In Chapter 2, we shattered the warped mirror. Now, in Chapter 3, we name the truth. You are not a problem to fix. You are a soul unfolding. And in Chapter 4, we'll go even deeper into the next trap. Why worthiness is not a reward for good behavior, but the foundation of everything you are. But for now, breathe this in. You don't have to strive to be worthy. You were always worthy enough to stop striving. Chapter 4. Worthiness is not a reward. It's your origin point. If you've ever asked yourself, what must I do to be worthy? You're not alone. It's the quiet question behind most self-help books, behind every late-night anxiety spiral, behind perfectionism, overthinking, fear of rejection, and even ambition that never rests. But the question is based on a false premise. Because worth is not something you earn. It's something you already are. The lie of conditional worth. From childhood, we are conditioned to believe that worth is transactional, that it must be proven, that we receive love when we behave, that we belong when we conform, and that we matter when we succeed. A child doesn't naturally believe they are unworthy. That idea is taught through subtle corrections, withheld affection, religion that says, you are sinful unless cleansed, or schooling that says, you're valuable if you perform well. And then we carry it into adulthood. We think, once I lose the weight, once I hit 6 figures, once I heal this pattern, once I stop messing up, then, maybe then, we'll feel like we deserve love, peace, rest, and joy. But you cannot heal from a place of unworthiness. Because healing requires presence, you can't fully be with yourself if you believe you're unworthy of your love. Returning to the origin. The truth is, you were worthy before the world gave you a name, before your resume, before your heartbreaks, before your body changed, before anyone approved of you. You were worthy in the womb, and you'll still be worthy on your last breath. Everything else is noise. This chapter is your permission slip to return to the origin point, the unshakable, unchangeable essence of your being that has never once depended on your doing. You don't become worthy. You remember that you always were. Spiritual identity versus earned identity. In the previous chapter, we dismantled the idea that you are a problem to fix. Now, we take it further. You don't need to become someone else to be enough. You need to return to who you were before you were told you weren't enough. Neville Goddard once said, "You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it." This is not just a statement of manifestation. It's a statement of identity. The version of you that feels unworthy is not your true self. It is a false self created by years of performance, comparison, and survival. The spiritual journey is not about becoming better. It's unbecoming of the layers that were never you. Why? Worthiness isn't an emotional feeling. Many people misunderstand worthiness. They wait to feel worthy, as if it's an emotion. But worthiness is not a mood. It's not confidence. It's not arrogance. It's not self-esteem. It is a spiritual truth. It is the ground you stand on, whether you're winning or falling apart. You might not always feel worthy, but that doesn't make you unworthy. It just means your awareness is fogged by the voices of your past. Joseph Murphy, in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, taught, "Your subconscious mind does not argue with you. It accepts what your conscious mind tells it. If you repeatedly say, 'I'm not good enough,' your subconscious accepts it as true." So, if the voice of unworthiness was planted by repetition, then it must also be healed by repetition, by affirming the truth again and again until the subconscious realigns with reality. And the reality is, you were born enough. You remain enough, and you will always be enough. The worthiness of being. In nature, a flower doesn't have to bloom perfectly to be beautiful. A tree doesn't apologize for its crooked limbs. The moon never asks if it's too much. Yet humans, gifted with awareness, use that awareness to tear themselves down. But what if your awareness could become your liberation, not your prison. You don't have to be healed to be worthy. You don't have to be high vibe to be loved. You don't have to be successful to be enough. You just have to be, because being is the proof of worth. Think about it. Would a conscious universe waste its breath animating something that didn't matter? Your very existence is the signature of divine value. The mirror principle. Everything in life mirrors what you believe about yourself. Not what you say you believe, but what you truly believe in your core. If you believe you are only valuable when achieving, the universe will hand you endless achievements and never let you feel peace. If you believe love must be earned, you'll find partners who keep making you prove yourself. If you believe rest is only for the worthy, you'll burn yourself out to buy rest you already deserve. The mirror doesn't lie, but it does wait. It waits for you to change the image you hold of yourself. Once you declare, deeply and daily, I am enough, as I am, the mirror begins to reflect it, slowly, quietly, but faithfully. Letting go of the scoreboard. One of the hardest and most necessary steps is to stop tracking your progress like a scoreboard. There is no perfect healed version of you waiting at the finish line with a gold medal. There is only this moment and your ability to receive it with the knowing, I'm not waiting to be worthy. I'm walking in it now. Chapter 1 reminded you that the lie of not enough is inherited. Chapter 2 helped you shatter the distorted mirror. Chapter 3 declared that you are not a problem to fix. Now, Chapter 4 places the truth where it belongs, at the foundation. You are not trying to earn your worth. You are learning to trust it. And in Chapter 5, we will explore why everything begins to change, not when you try harder, but when you stop apologizing for existing. We will walk into the sacred power of declaring I am, without shrinking, without shame, and without permission. But before we go there, remember, you are not here to prove anything. You are here to remember everything. You are enough, now, always. Chapter 5 I am. And that is enough. Before you declare your dreams, before you write your affirmations, before you visualize, script, plan, or pray, there is a deeper truth that precedes all creation. I am. Not that I am successful, but I am wealthy, and I am loved. Just, I am. 2 words. No adjectives. No conditions. No need to dress it up. Because being is the beginning. And when you truly recognize that your essence alone is complete, you stop trying to add to yourself and you start expressing yourself. Why I am is a creative force. Every identity begins with I am. It's not just a sentence, it's a signal. It's the energetic root from which your reality grows. Spiritual mystics, ancient texts, and modern metaphysicians all point to this phrase as sacred. When Moses asks God for a name, the response is simply, I am that I am. It wasn't just a name, it was a revelation. Being is enough. Neville Goddard devoted his entire life's work to this idea. He wrote, Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Claim yourself to be that which you desire to be. For I am is the only power. But most of us don't live from that place. We say, I am broken. I am not there yet. I am too much. I am not enough. And our subconscious, like a loyal servant, follows the command. As Joseph Murphy taught, your subconscious mind accepts what you feel to be true, and it will bring into your life whatever you continuously affirm. The question is not, do affirmations work? They always do. The question is, what have you been affirming unconsciously? The power of identity-based creation. Your reality is not shaped by what you want. It's shaped by who you believe you are. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will reject the very blessings you've prayed for. If you still believe you're behind, you'll sabotage anything that looks like peace. This is why so many manifestation practices don't stick, because they're layered on top of an unhealed identity. It's like putting perfume on a wound. The scent may change, but the pain remains. Until you anchor into a new I am, no method will bring lasting change. So what does that anchoring look like? It's not loud. It's not a performance. It happens in quiet decisions. In moments where you stop chasing and start choosing. In conversations where you don't shrink. In boundaries that say, I matter. In a breath that whispers, I belong. It looks like sitting with your own presence and realizing this is enough. Unlearning the apology. Many of us walk through life apologizing, not always with words, but with posture. We apologize for being visible. We apologize for being different. We apologize for needing rest. We apologize for dreaming big. We apologize for taking up space. But what if you stopped apologizing and started owning? What if you said, I am, and that is enough? Not in defiance, not in arrogance, but in sacred-rooted certainty. Because when you stop needing to become something else, you start allowing the fullness of your being to emerge. This isn't about ego. This is about truth. The I am that creates worlds. Science has taught us that observation affects outcome. Those particles shift based on the awareness of those observing them. This is the quantum field responding to consciousness. Spiritually, it echoes the same. The I am you hold inwardly determines the reality you meet outwardly. When you align with the vibration of I am enough, the field responds, not because you're trying to manifest, but because you're no longer resisting who you are. You've stopped asking for permission to exist. You've stopped negotiating your worth. You've stopped outsourcing your value. And the moment that happens, doors open, people shift, peace enters, not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. You became the signal. Living from I am. This is not a one-time affirmation. It's a daily return. You will forget. That's human. The world will tempt you to earn again, prove again, fix again. But you now have the key. Each time you remember, you realign. Each time you say, I am, you dissolve the noise. This audiobook began by exposing the lie of not enoughness. Then it peeled back the layers. It helped you find your reflection in a broken mirror and reminded you that worthiness isn't a feeling. It's your foundation. Now, in this chapter, you are being asked to do more than just believe. You are being asked to declare. Let this be your turning point. From now on, let every choice come from wholeness, not lack. Let your words come from alignment, not approval seeking. Let your energy say, I have nothing to prove. I am. This is not a motivational phrase. It is a metaphysical command. The universe doesn't respond to begging. It responds to being. So be. And let everything else organize itself around your truth. In Chapter 6, we'll explore what it looks like to receive without guilt, to allow joy, love, and success into your life without apology, fear, or self-sabotage. But for now, remember, I am. And that is enough. You've always been enough. The shift is, now you know it. Chapter 6. Receiving without guilt. Letting the good in without shrinking. There is a quiet moment in everyone's journey when the thing you've been asking for starts to arrive. Love finds its way in. Opportunity knocks softly. Peace begins to feel familiar. But instead of welcoming it entirely, you hesitate. You second guess. You wait for the catch. You brace for the fall. Because while your conscious mind desires the good, your subconscious is still wired to distrust it. Why? Because you've been taught in 1,000 invisible ways that receiving is dangerous, that too much joy invites loss, that too much success is selfish, that too much ease is unearned. And so you shrink, not because you're unworthy, but because you've been conditioned to feel guilty for thriving. The wound behind the wall. Before we go further, let's return to the truth. You are not broken. You were trained to reject the good. Maybe you grew up in a household where love came with strings, where affection felt like a reward, not a given, where struggle was seen as noble and rest was indulgent. Or maybe you lived through moments where life got good, and then something bad happened, a heartbreak, a betrayal, a loss, and your nervous system encoded a belief: good things don't last. So now, even when life offers beauty, you filter it through the lens of fear. You push it away gently with logic. I don't need that much. I'm okay, really. Others have it worse. But beneath the humility is a subconscious wall. I don't deserve this. And the law is always this: you cannot sustain what you secretly feel guilty for receiving. The frequency of guilt. Joseph Murphy once said, "Your subconscious mind is like the soil. It grows whatever seeds you plant." If the soil is filled with guilt, even the seeds of abundance will rot. Guilt is a low-frequency emotion. It sends the signal, I've done something wrong. And when you feel guilty for wanting more peace, more love, more success, your subconscious begins to repel it. This isn't punishment. It's self-protection. Your inner system is trying to keep you emotionally safe by avoiding the cognitive dissonance of having more than you believe you should. So you downplay. You dismiss compliments. You sabotage relationships. You spend what you earn as fast as it arrives. Not because you're careless, but because receiving still feels unsafe. Why enough includes receiving. In the last chapter, you learn to say, I am, and that is enough. But here's the next layer. If you are enough, then that means what you receive is not too much. It means it's okay to be happy without justification. It's okay to have money and still be spiritual. It's okay to be chosen, even if others aren't. It's okay to receive love without performing for it. Receiving is not a sin. It is a spiritual posture of allowing. And if the universe is generous by nature, who are we to argue with its flow? The difference between greed and grace. Let's be clear. Wanting more does not make you greedy. Greed is rooted in lack. It's the desperate attempt to take because you believe there's not enough. Grace is rooted in wholeness. It's the open-handed receiving of what's already yours by divine design. Greed clutches. Grace allows. When you shift into the identity of I am enough, receiving becomes natural. Not something to explain or hide, but something to witness with gratitude. And here's the paradox. Those who believe they are enough tend to share more, give more, uplift more, because they no longer see life as a competition for scraps. They see it as a river, and they let it flow through them. The nervous system must catch up. Sometimes your mind is ready, your spirit is willing, but your body is still frozen in old programming. That's why affirmations alone don't always stick. You can declare, I deserve the best. But if your breath is shallow, your shoulders are tense, and your jaw is clenched, your body isn't in agreement. So begin gently. Practice small moments of receiving without apology. Accept a compliment with a smile, not a deflection. Allow rest without guilt. Let someone help you without immediately offering something back. These micro-receivings start to rewrite the story. They signal to your body, it's safe to receive. It's safe to have. It's safe to hold the good. Receiving is responsibility, not random luck. Some part of you might still whisper, why me? Who am I to be blessed when others are struggling? But the real question is, who are you not to be? Your abundance doesn't take away from someone else's, it adds. Because healed people heal people. Loved people love better. Whole people don't hoard. They give from overflow. Your receiving isn't selfish. It's strategic. You are being positioned to reflect what is possible, to show others what a life without guilt looks like, to model what it means to receive without shrinking. The good wants to stay. If you've ever pushed away joy, you know this ache, the fear that good things won't stay. But here's the truth. The good doesn't leave because it's too good. It leaves because you don't feel safe holding it. So let's change that. Let your body learn to hold peace. Let your soul learn to hold love. Let your identity expand to hold abundance, not as an exception, but as a new normal. You are not stealing blessings. You are finally allowing them. And when you receive without guilt, you activate a new law. You don't have to chase anything anymore, because now it knows how to find you. As we continue. Chapter 7 will explore radiance without apology, what it means to shine without dimming, to walk in your worth without explanation. But for now, breathe this in. You don't have to shrink to be safe. You don't have to earn to be loved. You don't have to explain your joy. You are enough. And receiving is your birthright. Let it in. Chapter 7. Radiance without apology. Becoming the light you thought you had to chase. You've spent most of your life chasing the light, trying to become brighter by earning approval, trying to be seen by proving your worth, trying to be enough by dimming who you truly are so that others wouldn't feel threatened, uncomfortable, or left behind. But the great irony is this: you've always been the light. You were just taught to doubt your glow. This chapter is about reclaiming what was never missing, your radiance. Not the fake confidence, not performance-based perfectionism, not the armor you put on to get through the day. We're talking about your original shine, the kind that doesn't apologize, explain, or compete. The kind that simply is. Why we dim ourselves. Before we celebrate your shine, we have to understand why you ever dimmed it. Because light exposes, it draws attention. And if somewhere along the line, attention equaled danger, you learned to hide. Maybe you were told as a child, don't be too much. Maybe your sensitivity was mocked, your voice silenced, or your success dismissed. Maybe every time you tried to step forward, someone made you feel like you were outshining them. So you learned to play small, to make others feel comfortable. This survival strategy was rooted in fear, not humility. And so, the false self developed. Likeable, low maintenance, quietly suffering. But deep inside, your true self waited. The one who knows how to glow from within. Not because you're better, but because you're being. You don't become the light. You remove the dust. The idea that you must work to become radiant is flawed. Radiance is not something you earn. It is something you uncover. Think of a lamp covered in years of dust. The bulb still works. The filament still burns. The light was never broken, just hidden. The dust of shame, guilt, fear, rejection, all of it covered your glow. But the light beneath never left. You don't need to be more. You need to remember. You are not lacking light. You are the light that the darkness fears. Neville Goddard said, "Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live." This is what radiance is, not changing the world first, but becoming someone who knows they are light and allowing the world to respond to that knowing. When you shine, you give permission. Marianne Williamson once wrote, "Your playing small does not serve the world." As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. This is more than poetic. It's vibrational truth. When you embody your enoughness, your peace, your joy, your radiance, you transmit that to others. Your presence becomes medicine. Your energy becomes a mirror. Not because you're trying to teach, but because you're being what others forgot they could be. No more shrinking in love. Radiance without apology means you stop adjusting your brightness to accommodate others' insecurities. It means you can be successful and kind without guilt. You can walk into a room and not shrink without needing permission. You can speak your truth, live your calling, and stand in your power without explaining why you deserve to be there. It means you no longer seek validation from people who benefit from your silence. Because here's the truth: the more you remember who you are, the more you outgrow those who forgot. Radiance and responsibility. Being the light doesn't mean being perfect. It doesn't mean always being positive, always having it together, or never making mistakes. Radiance is integrity, alignment between who you are and how you live. It's about congruence. When your thoughts, words, actions, and beliefs match, your light becomes stable, clear, unshakable. And that clarity scares systems built on confusion. It disrupts relationships built on imbalance. It dismantles cultures of quiet compliance. This is why many who reclaim their radiance face a season of shedding. Relationships, roles, routines, because the light always reveals what cannot remain. But don't fear the shedding. Fear the shrinking. Because every time you choose to stay dim, to stay liked, you betray your original self. And that betrayal costs more than rejection ever could. The nervous system of enoughness. As we discussed in Chapter 6, receiving good without guilt begins with making your body feel safe. The same applies to radiance. Your nervous system must feel safe to shine. That means regulating your breath when you're seen, soothing yourself when you take up space, practicing presence when you're praised. You are retraining your system to believe. It is safe to be seen. It is safe to be chosen. It is safe to be powerful. The more you embody that, the more you will attract people and spaces that celebrate, not punish your light. Your radiance is the message. By now, you've heard the truth echoing through every chapter. You are enough. But Chapter 7 brings the embodiment of that truth. This is where you live it. You no longer say, "I am enough," as a mantra alone. You say it with your walk, your decisions, your boundaries, your voice. You become the light you thought you had to chase, and you do it without apology. And that, my friend, is how the world changes. As we prepare for the final chapter, Chapter 8 will show you how to stand in your enoughness, not just as an internal state, but as a new foundation for your future. Because when you stop dimming, you stop settling. And when you stop settling, you start creating. But for now, pause. Feel the light returning. It never left. It was always you. Let it shine. Chapter 8. Enough is the foundation. Building a life that reflects your worth. You've remembered the truth. You've reconnected with your light. Now comes the sacred invitation to build from this place, to create, relate, and move forward from your enoughness, not your emptiness. Because I am enough is not just a healing mantra. It's a construction code, a spiritual blueprint for how your external life begins to shift once your internal ground is solid. This final chapter is about integration. It's about embodiment. It's about building a life so aligned with your true worth that it no longer mirrors your fears, but your wholeness. What you build reflects what you believe. Look around your current life, your relationships, your finances, your career, your environment. Each of these, in some way, is a reflection, not of what you deserve, but of what you believed you deserved. When you believed you had to earn love, you built partnerships based on performance. When you believed success required struggle, you accepted burnout as normal. When you believed peace was for later, you put your joy on layaway. But now that you've reclaimed the truth, that you are already enough, your architecture must change. You are not here to decorate the house of lack. You are here to construct a temple of alignment. Because enoughness isn't passive, it's creative. Build from wholeness, not wounds. Most people build reactive lives. They create based on what they're trying to avoid. I don't want to be poor. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be judged. But building from lack produces more lack, even if the results look impressive on the outside. True enoughness flips the script. You begin building not from what you fear, but from who you are. And that subtle shift changes everything. You make decisions not to prove, but to express. You say no, not out of fear, but out of freedom. You say yes, not because you're afraid to miss out, but because it aligns with your truth. When you build from wholeness, you don't just chase peace. You build a life that protects it. Your energy sets the standard. Let's be clear. Enoughness doesn't mean you never grow, stretch, or reach for more. It means you don't chase from the wound. You create from the core. Joseph Murphy once said, "Change your mental blueprint, and your world will change automatically." Your mental emotional blueprint is your energetic signature. If you operate from guilt, you'll attract situations that require self-abandonment. If you operate from fear, you'll call in relationships that test your boundaries. But when you operate from enoughness, deep, soul-level sufficiency, you become a magnet for congruence. People, opportunities, experiences, all start to reflect your inner worth. Because you've stopped signaling scarcity. Your healed energy becomes the architect, the builder, the protector, redefining success through the lens of enough. In a world obsessed with more, it takes courage to say, "I am enough as I am." But that courage is your liberation. Enoughness means redefining success on your terms. It might look like leaving a high-status job that kills your spirit, starting a passion project without needing it to succeed immediately, saying no to a romantic relationship that looks perfect on paper but feels hollow in your soul, taking a nap without guilt. Because when you believe you are enough, rest is not laziness. Joy is not indulgence. Boundaries are not walls. They are the furniture of self-respect. You stop over-explaining, over-delivering, and over-apologizing. You start trusting, choosing, honoring. You start living a life that doesn't feel like a performance, but a prayer. Building forward with grace. There may still be moments when the old voice whispers, "Who do you think you are to want this? Are you sure you're ready for that?" Don't forget where you came from. That's okay. You're human. But now, you answer that voice differently. You say, "I don't have to prove myself. I just have to be myself. I'm not chasing worth. I'm expressing it. I'm not lucky. I'm aligned." You've outgrown shame-based ambition. You've graduated from fear-based vision boards. Your future no longer needs to be loud and impressive. It just needs to be true. And truth, when fully lived, always multiplies. How the universe responds. Once you align your internal compass to "I am enough," the universe begins to mirror that belief, not just philosophically, but energetically. You get opportunities that match your values. You meet people who respect your boundaries. You attract success that doesn't drain your spirit. Why? Because you've stopped negotiating with unworthiness. You've stopped editing yourself to be accepted. You've become the kind of person whose energy says, "I already belong. I already deserve. I already am." That's not arrogance. That's divine remembrance. You are the foundation. Let's return to the metaphor one last time. Everything you build, relationships, career, wealth, well-being, will rest on a foundation. If that foundation is shame, everything will feel fragile. If that foundation is fear, everything will feel conditional. But when the foundation is enough, everything becomes sustainable. You can rise without rushing. You can receive without guilt. You can evolve without pressure. Because you are no longer building for validation. You're building from truth. You are the permission. This chapter isn't an ending. It's a commissioning. You are now the permission slip others are waiting for. To live fully, to speak freely, to shine unapologetically. You are enough. You always were. Let your life be proof